Let's see how this one goes tonight. All right, hey, episode 10, Paradox Diaries. Well, I touched the flywheel, but it'll stay there for a bit. All right, so what you see on the bottom of the screen is the updated version of the heart rate monitor, or heart rate variability and heart rate. And I've got it tuned to be sort of smoother as opposed to more jittery. It's just going to be running throughout. My heart rate starting at, or my heart rate variability is starting at 51 tonight or something like that. I'm not sure what it shows right now. I can't quite see it, but I'll work on that next. And we'll see what it does. Last night, my heart rate variability improved a bit. I don't remember what the numbers were, but it doesn't really matter. I've got it logged. And again, the whole purpose of this is I discovered accidentally that the thing I'm about to do seems to be really good. It seems to give you mental boost, cardio boost, helps me with sleep, etc. And it's a very simple activity. And let's go ahead and get started. So I'm going to go ahead and plant my feet and start bouncing. Now, I started this talking about models, the whole back to episode 1, and models have been something that's been a big part of how I look at things. So, I mean, I'm in software development and I had to learn a lot of models and so on. So the thing you see there, I wanted an application that would do exactly that. And I tried to find a couple, I couldn't find anything. So last night I started working on it. And then today I continued working on it, after work. And I started interacting in a way that's what I did was I got to a point where it was kind of working. And then I noticed that I didn't like how the algorithm was smoothing out the data. And so I tried a couple different experiments. And then I switched to a different tool and I asked it to sort of give me some options. And then I asked to consider options that would make sense given it has heard the context of the Paradox Diaries. And then over a couple of iterations, I went back and forth with it. And so I had the one AI tool tell the other AI tool what to do, and then back and forth and back and forth. And then I finally got something that I sort of correlated with another tool that I'm using. And so there we go. And so what I'm really good at getting to is the notion of feedback. So there's been a lot of feedback at different levels. So in the beginning, I started with a plan. And since I have a general idea of how I like to solve this kind of a problem, I sort of broke it down and I used a couple different techniques. And in those techniques, there's a lot of smaller feedback loops. One of them I mentioned last night was test-driven development. And another one is just having a clean idea of how to split things up. And I mentioned pipe and filter architectures last night, and that comes from just the Unix command line processing. So this thing has proceeded pretty quickly. The source is out there if you're interested, but we're going to see what's going to happen. And really, I haven't got it quite set up yet, but if you notice at the top there's a gyroscope over a button, and right now it's in shaking mode, and I can move it. So what I also did was I started logging data. I added logging to help diagnose problems. So for example, I noticed that it was disconnecting when I went to the kitchen. And so I worked with it back and forth. We added logging, and then I had it look at the logs. And over about 3 or 4 loops, we managed to figure out 3 or 4 different defects. Some were synchronization issues, some were file locking issues, or actually more like WebSocket locking issues. And then eventually we got it so that it reconnects, and it reconnects pretty well. Somewhere in there, I figured out I should keep track of the device ID so it would speed up connecting. And along the way, I found out I have something like 30 Bluetooth devices in my house. I had no idea, but it doesn't surprise me. And so it's been just getting better and better as I've been and these are all little, just very quick iterations, very quick loops. So you're seeing it now, and I'm actually collecting data. And so now back to the region. So what I can do is if I start doing something else, I'll click a button. And I showed one tool the output from the other tool. And I said, hey, can you analyze this and sort of tell me what you think I did? And it was sure enough, it was able to do so. So now I can actually do some post-analysis and figure out, like if I say, for example, now I'm doing stretching, I can click the stretching button, and then it'll be easy to analyze the results and see, was it stretching that changed my HRV or was it something else? And again, the HRV thing. So heart rate variability is a measure of your heart's responsiveness to change, and higher is better. There are lots of different systems of measurement. The system I'm using here uses, I forget the letters, I'll figure it out, RMSS something or another. And then it's been scaled to 0 to 100. And the only reason I did that was I was sort of following this other tool that I use. Now, I don't consider this official. This is just something that I'm going to use. It's gathering data. The raw data is available. And then I'm going to do some analysis again to sort of connect what activities have what effects, and maybe at what times. Now, this is going to be relevant for me. Won't be the same for you. But if you're interested, it's out there on GitHub and it works on the Mac. So there you go. So I'm going to keep shaking for a little bit, at least about 10 minutes. And the reason I say 10 minutes is that's for me, that's the number where I can start to tell a real difference. Also, at some point, I'll be able to feel when I just sort of start turning down. The combination of shaking plus this thing really sort of starts turning my body down. And I noticed that especially if I do shaking before my deep flexibility, I start at a much deeper, relaxed state. So this is also just preparing me. It's winding me down to the point where I'm ready for deep flexibility. So if you have, if you have a minute or two to do it, great. If you have 10 minutes to do it, even better, because it really does get you started faster. And it applies to all of your poses because it's all over body. All right, so my legs are tingly, and how long has it been? Okay, it's only been 7 minutes. So I'm gonna keep going for a few more minutes here. All right. So now I'm going to go to some basic Qigong. Just going to sort of twist my body and warm up my spine a little bit. So I'm going to take my feet a little bit wider than hip. I'm going to make sure my knees are bent. I'm going to keep the outer edges of my feet connected so I don't twist my knees too much. And then just sort of let your arms flop and turn side to side. Now, if you want to, we can extend this a little bit and turn it from a floppy arm into letting your arms flop. And then you hit just below the belly button and just the opposite. So. On the front, we're talking about the lower dantian or the main dantian. Here, gate of life. And you want to keep this lower back loose. What happens is over time, you tend to allow it to get tight, and then you have to lean forward. And so you start using a walker. So you really want to try to loosen this up. In Tai Chi, what we do is we basically feet parallel, knees bent, and then we try to allow our sacrum to relax down or push if you have to. Might be that you need to loosen your hip flexors to do that. And so to loosen your hip flexors, well, I'll show you something in just a minute. But back to twisting. Again, you can just let your arms flop, or maybe what I'll do is I'll let my arms flop, and right at the end, I'll bend my elbows to hit those spots. You can certainly play with this, move up to the rib cage, middle back, shoulders. All right, now, feet parallel, a little wider than hip. Looking ahead, I'm going to look straight ahead. I'm not going to move my head this time. I'm going to start, and I'm going to just move my torso and my shoulders together while keeping my head forward. And I'm twisting while looking forward. The reason I'm looking forward is by locking the top and bottom of my spine, the bottom by my hips, the top by my head, I'm twisting my spine. Now, what we're going to do is stop in the middle and then turn just your hips and waist. Keep your arms as stable as you can. Okay, now go ahead and do the same thing, except now with the shoulders only. Again, continue looking forward. You can probably anticipate what's coming up next. All right, now, opposite hips and waist, opposite shoulders. Keeping the head forward, and generally speaking, keeping your hips about the same place. Now you're wringing your back in two directions, sort of like when you're trying to wring out a towel and you're doing this, twisting. All right. So I've got my spine nicely warmed up. I'm going to do some neck isometrics to sort of just, again, so when you use an isometric pose, it does a couple things. But one of the things it does is when you let go, there's a rebound effect. And that rebound effect tends to add some relaxation. So it's what I'm going to do is I'm going to actually get some neck relaxation, but also I'm going to let my shoulder, I'm going to let the opposite side relax as much as possible. And that allows me to feel the pressure and the muscle go further into the body. Now, if I do it later after stretching, it goes even further, but I'm not going to do it based on what I'm planning to do tonight. I'll just say that. Okay, so I'm going to use about 30 seconds, and I'm going to take my glasses off because I'm going to be pushing my head. Now, I'm going to go ahead and actually, this is a bit awkward. I got to figure out a better thing, but I'm going to switch to isometrics here. Let's see, where are isometrics? There they are. Okay, isometrics. Here we go. Okay, again, I'm going to use Wu Chi. Now, you can just sit and do these. In fact, I started by doing them just seated, and then I like to add the pushing of the sacrum and the head up on most things just from Tai Chi, and I started doing that, and then I started doing it standing. So over a couple of weeks, it built up to sort of a whole body thing. So feet parallel, knees bent. I'm going to relax my sacrum, push my fontanelle up. The fontanelle is back third of the head above the tips of the ears. And when you do that, you will notice your chin's going to come back a little bit. And then I'm going to push my right hand, and the right side of my head. I'm going to feel it on my left side. I'm going to relax my left side. And as I'm pushing, really pay attention to your neck. You don't want to have a weird twist. You want this to be flat. So, looking straight ahead, I'm going to push. And as I relax, I'm going to feel some stuff on this side. And here we go. I'm also going to drop my shoulders. So again, feet parallel, knees bent. Sacrum, I'm pushing my sacrum down. I'm actually externally rotating my thighs, and so I'm opening up my hip flexors, pushing my fontanelle up, dropping my shoulders. All right. It's interesting. I noticed the time, so I'm not sure why. I'm noticing it's just 30 seconds. It was like a little over 30 seconds. So, all right, and here we go. Same thing, other side. So, feet parallel, knees bent, pushing sacrum down, pushing fontanelle up. Pull your shoulders down. Your shoulders go to your sacrum. Your sacrum goes to your heels. And if you do it just right, you'll have some pressure in your heels. And yes, I was aware of the rhyme before it happened. I toned it down a bit. All right, front and back. Okay, for the front and back, again, make sure you don't feel anything in your cervical spine. No hot spots, nothing. Adjust. And then interlace your hands. If you really want to be particular, one time when you do it, have, say, in this case, the right pinky on the bottom, and then the next time have this. And if you're not used to doing that, it really feels awkward. If you're used to feeling it, or if you're used to doing it, it still feels awkward to me. I've been doing it for over 20 years and it still feels weird. Okay, so feet parallel, knees bent. Again, I'm pushing into my forehead. I'm feeling this on both shoulder blades. Actually, I'm feeling it in the trapezius muscles. I'm not feeling it in the spine so much. It's in the muscles. Adjust so that's what you're feeling. Now, as I push my sacrum down and I push my head up and my shoulders down, I'm getting my transverse abdominals, my sides, like at the bottom of the rib cage. It's not coming all the way to the front, but I'm getting a lot of it. And I say that now it's coming all the way to the front. Okay, same thing. Back. Now here I'm going to be above the atlas. And again, hot spots. I'm going to be cradling my hands like so, right here. So again, feet parallel. I don't think mine are, but I'm not going to adjust. Knees bent. Push my fontanelle down. Sorry, my sacrum down. Pushing my fontanelle up. Shoulders down. Okay. All right, now we do the last one. Up. A little bit longer. Here we go. So here, I've got my hands interlaced. I had to make an adjustment there. It's getting a little bit weird. Little bit of a hot spot. There we go. In this case, I'm more pushing up with my fontanelle than pulling down with my hands. I know that sounds a little bit strange, but it's more of a one-way thing just because I want to control the neck pressure. Shoulder blades down. Wow. It doesn't look like I'm doing much, but I'm feeling some almost like, not quite, but almost sweat on my forearms. It really gets your body warmed up and moving. It gets your chi moving, gets your body, your muscles moving. Shaking gets everything sort of loosened up, and then isometrics. But now that I've done that, I'm going to do a little bit something in reverse to relax my neck and my spine. Just for a second. Come here. All right. Now, I mentioned hip flexors. I'm going to work on. So last night I did side splits. Tonight I'm going to do something that looks the same, but it's not. I'm going to do pancakes. I'm going to sit and spread my legs that way instead of starting on my heels and spreading this way. When you do that, it hits higher. When you do side splits on your heels or on the side of your feet, it hits deeper into the adductors, about under deep. So I tend to alternate those things. So sometimes I do the same thing for a while. Now, before I do that, I'm going to work on my hip flexors because they don't come into play as much here, but it's still a good idea to do that. However, if you want to do one pose and you have time for one pose, do that one pose. If you warm up a little bit, other poses ahead of time, whatever pose you do last or the later poses tend to get a little bit deeper. For this one, I'm going to be really careful not to put any diagonal pressure on my patella. So I'm not going to be on the kneecap at all. I'm going to have my legs somewhat spread, but not too wide. I can use this for the groin, but I've got plenty of poses for the groin. So I'm going to actually instead do this. I'm going to turn my feet out, and I want to get to the point where I'm feeling it, like right there, I'm feeling some stuff in my hip flexor. So actually just this. Let's see. That's not quite hitting. Hey, Chas, you're after me, buddy. No, not there. Come on, move. Thank you. Good boy. Yeah, right there. So now I'm getting some pressure. Now, before I actually go into this, to show you what I'm doing, sideways. So first of all, I start here, and I'm bringing my knees apart. I'm going to externally rotate the foot, both feet, in fact. And then I sit into my hip flexors, like so. Now, actually, I wonder, there's something I used to try. I'm going to try something. It's almost certainly going to be a fail, but let's see what happens. Remember, learning requires failure. I don't know what's going to happen here, and I'm not even sure if that's the right height. But I'm going to basically do something like what I'm about to do, except I'm going to do it in a seated position, and see if I can get a height that actually has something like a good stretch. Oh gosh, yeah, haha. Thought I was closer than that. Okay, so that right there is a really good stretch on my hips. Oh, that's not very balanced. I'm going to try this for a second. I'll do that for at least 2 minutes if I can hold this in balance. This isn't terribly stable. So since I'm doing this randomly, the couple things I'm thinking about: one, can I balance? This is a bit off balance, but it's okay. So balance, and the reason is I want to be as calm and relaxed and not moving as I can. And if I can't be wet noodle, that is muscles relaxed, at least right here, I'm not using any effort other than trying to keep myself balanced. I need to relax. If I'm fighting balance or if chest is knocking me over, then I'm not going to be able to relax, and it's going to affect my ability to get deeper into the pose. Chest, stop. Okay, stop. I'm not balanced. Okay, stop. There we go. Now my hip flexors are starting to loosen up a little bit. I'm still going to do the pose that I was going to do, but now what'll happen is I'll start a little bit looser. I am feeling this right. Actually, I can't. Right now, my arms are keeping my legs apart to keep myself feeling the pressure of the pose. So I can't point to where I'm at without losing the pose. But I'm only going to stay here a little bit longer. There, that's a little bit deeper. Okay. So now I'm feeling this primarily right here. Okay, I'm going to do this now in a seated position where it's going to be a lot more stable. That was good. But it was a bit awkward to get into. And as a result, I mean, it was fine, but this one is going to get me just as well, better, just as good, not well. And it's a lot more stable. But again, watch pressure on your kneecaps. Really be careful with your joints. In this practice, I try to avoid doing much with my joints. I try to avoid doing too much with my ligaments and too much with my tendons if I can. I mean, I'm going to hit them, but try not to hit them too much. Okay, there we go. And I'm going to hold this for a while. Okay, so if you want to get into a resting position, it just so happens these blocks are going to be handy. I'll do this. I'll do this. And this little bit allows me to allows me to relax a little bit more in my hip flexors. So this is a little generic technique called blockhead. And pretty much any pose where you think you can use a block to support your head, it's probably a good thing to do. Haha. I did not switch from isometrics to deep flexibility. Got to think about how to poke-yoke that. And that is trying to find a way to make something more likely to happen structurally. As an example, my desk where I work is a bicycle seat. So to sit in front of my laptop, I sit on a bicycle seat and I gently ride it with no, I've got the resistance turned all the way down and I just gently pedal throughout the day. And that gentle activity, barely ever getting my heart rate above 100. Mostly it just sort of hangs around, well, mid 60s sometimes. My resting heart rate is often 50 or even below sometimes. And I don't do hardcore aerobics. Now, I want to be clear. If you do hardcore aerobics and you enjoy doing it, do it. If you find something that works for you, that's the thing. And that's really going back to poke yoke. If you don't have to have a reason to do it, you just enjoy doing it and it's, healthy or good for you, that's the way to go. But I find this deep flexibility stuff, like right now, I can feel my hip flexors and my groin loosening up and expanding. I could, if I wanted to lose my balance, I could point to exactly where it's happening right now. I can feel it. And even though I don't know exactly what's happening, I'm going to actually push, I'm going to spread my legs just a little bit. There we go. Even though I don't know exactly what's happening, I can sort of visualize it a little bit. In the act of visualizing, it's going to help bring blood to that part of the body. It's also going to strengthen the mirror neurons. So is that already 5 minutes? Okay, see, now I've lost track of time. So, I really don't want to come out of this pose yet. I'm in a really good place right now. So I'm just going to stay here a little bit longer. Okay, I think that's enough. Because I'm about to do something that I'm going to do some more of that. Oh, wow, I'm really rather stretched. Okay, so now to come out of this, first of all, I'm going to raise my torso up a little bit, and then I'm going to sort of come forward and then gently bring my feet together so I can kind of slide one leg. I gotta be really gentle because when I've stretched like this, until I get my legs back into normal position, there we go. That's all. That's good. They could hurt. There we go. So the one thing I've noticed though is in that pose, I can sometimes feel the tendons pulling on the knees. So if you feel pulling tendons or anything in the joint, if you can point to it, no good. Pull back. Pull back. We're here. I'm here to repair my body. I'm not here to do damage to it. So I do that enough of that without any help. Actually, I'm curious. I'm gonna go ahead and move it to deep flexibility, and I wonder what that thing is measuring for my HRV. 50. Yeah, seems about unchanged pretty much. All right, let's see. Deep flex. Boom. Let's change that. There we go. All right. So I'm going to continue. And this time, what I'm going to do, this is pancake. Now, I showed side splits yesterday. Today, I'm going to do this. I'm going to start with an elevated bum. And this is not necessary, but what it allows me to do is it allows me to allow gravity to help me roll forward. I'm going to use these bricks. I'm going to use these because one, they'll slide a little bit, and two, I want to protect my heels because I have I think this is the pose that I bruised my left heel on because I was just so when you start doing these bigger poses, and especially I'll do these poses for this one, maybe sometimes I'll do it 15 to 20 minutes. And if you're in it for that long, you've turned your nervous system down. Now, what I mean by that is when you increase the pressure, the tension or whatever, your nervous system registers it and it starts to say, oh, should we do something? You're calming your nervous system down through breathing. And so it's like, okay, well, that's fine. This is a baseline. Okay, cool. And then you turn up a little bit more. The nervous system says, are you sure? And so you're playing this game of getting to a new baseline, getting the nervous system to calm down, and getting to a new baseline. That's what we're doing. So we're training the nervous system. And if you do it enough, you can bruise yourself without noticing it. And that's what I've done. I've done that a couple of times. So really pay attention. Like I had the smallest tingle when I was doing isometrics earlier, and I adjusted right away. You don't want to mess with that stuff. Really, you don't want to mess with that stuff. You don't want to. So just, I guess I'm old, and I don't want my body to hurt anymore, and it doesn't generally. Or rather, I should say, it doesn't hurt while I'm not stretching. When I'm stretching, it often does hurt. Not a lot. Okay. All right. That's a good start. Okay. Right there, I've already got a nice pressure, and I'm getting it right here. So I'm just going to hang out here for a little bit. My intention is eventually to get my chest on the ground with my legs as wide as I can. Not today. I'm going to go ahead and keep track of time just so I have a sense of how much time has passed. So remember, I talked about blockhead. Notice hands together, just a little bit of support. This can help remove pressure off your lower back as well. Now, if you'll notice something about this pose, I'm not putting a lot of pressure on my neck, but I'm putting pressure on my neck. So this is neck adjacent. Over time, over years, you're going to have a much stronger neck. And so if you have neck issues, if you think about your spinal column is like the hole in a donut. It's not really, but what you're working on is you're trying to build up the surrounding tissues through balance and strength and flexibility, so that if you have, say, bone problems, disc problems, you can help backfill with some muscular support. And that's something I've done. I'm glad I was moving when that happened. Okay, so I'm going to start working my way lower. Okay, another trick on this, I'm going to actually look forward instead of down, and that will relieve the pressure on my lower back. It's just, it's a little bit tension, not really bad, but again, the longer I'm in this pose, the more I'm sort of shutting down my nervous system, the more I've got to be concerned about. Like, for example, you probably can't see my right foot, but my heel is off the pillow. And so I'm going to actually take the time to make this adjustment now, because I want that to be on the pillow. Okay. Okay, what I'm going to do now, I'm going to go ahead and do some minor or some low end PNF. So I'm going to squeeze for about 10, 15, 20 seconds, and then I'm going to release, and I'm going to slowly work my way down. What I'm doing is I'm kind of gently tricking my nervous system. Chesh, please, would you please just stop? adjustment. Alexa, volume up. Alexa, volume 1.5. Okay, I'm going to do another round of PNF. Actually, you know what? No, I'm not. So right now, I'm fully extended. That's 5 minutes. Okay, so I am gonna do it, but I don't want to do PNF when I'm sort of already at the end of my current stretch. I mean, I'm gonna go further, but I'm gonna come back just a touch, not much, just a touch, so that not I'm not really like trying to push too much further past the edge. So now I'm pushing my legs and heels into the ground, and I'm sort of squeezing everything. I'm gonna go ahead and do this a little more intensely for just a little bit longer. What I'm doing is I'm overloading my nervous system. Your muscles connect to the bones, the tendons via the Golgi tendon organ, the GTO. And when you overwhelm that, it thinks the muscles are about to tear and it causes them to relax. If you've ever seen like a weightlifter collapse, that's what's going on. And like, ooh. So that wasn't even that long or that intense, but you can go a little bit at a time. And then right now, I feel quite a bit of tension along the inside of my legs, and I'm just going to sit here for a while and let it calm down. Now, this practice definitely, I assume, is a really good vagal nerve toning practice because you're in a very uncomfortable position. I'm going to move side to side here, by the way. You're in a very uncomfortable position and you're trying to stay calm and you're controlling your breath. And so, what you're doing is you're training your system to allow a stronger signal before pushing you into sympathetic versus parasympathetic mode. Your body is dominating towards sympathetic because of a survival bias. I don't know what the ratio is, but I'm going to guess it's like 75% to 25% in terms of a favor. That's just the wrong way to think about it. If you have a stimulus and it's going to tend to cause a potentially survival kind of response, that's going to happen, and you're not going to be able to breathe out of it. The lower systems, the pattern recognition, the implicit system is going to respond. It's going to flood your body with cortisol and other hormones, and you might actually be able to ride that out. You might actually have the sense of strong fear or strong anger, but you might also be able to maintain just enough awareness to notice that that's happening, and then either use it or breathe your way out of it. 20 minutes is what it takes generally, or more, depending on how strong it is and how good you are at calming yourself down. But, to be clear, it's not like you're going to be completely triggered equally. As you start to slow your system down, there's a slow decay, but you will start to notice things. And if you generally work on parasympathetic activities like this, over time, you can start to notice those signals from your body sooner, and it's much easier to attenuate a signal when it's smaller. You might have heard this as if you knock a pebble at the top of a hill, it's going to make a big mess at the bottom, or change a stream at the top of the hill. I don't remember the phrasing on that one. Okay, so I'm going to go a little bit lower. Now I'm not doing PNF. I'm just going to see how far I can get before I get a lot of pressure. Here's another trick I like. I'm going to actually use one of these bricks. I'm going to put it, if I'm low enough, I'm going to maybe use 2 of them on my breastbone. And I'm just going to basically rest my torso here for a bit. Because right now the torso is not it. But if I do this, I can relax my torso. I'm sort of drooping it over, and I'm feeling a little more pressure right here. So notice, no effort. Okay, so now I'm going to come out a little bit, go a little bit wider. At this point, the challenge here is mental, not physical. I'm tired of feeling this discomfort. And so if I come out too much, I might not want to go back in. But actually, I want to go in a little bit further if I can. Not sure if I'm going to be able to do this. Okay, here we go. Now, if you keep doing like this, at some point this does become side splits. Oh, damn. Okay. So it's lateral rotation that is being resisted, that my body's resisting right now. That is taking my feet and, in the case of my right foot, rotating it laterally or away from the center, or in that case, clockwise if you're looking at it, maybe. Chesh, no, seriously, dude. No, you got to stay away. I have to be violent in this case. That's me being violent because I am vulnerable right now, very vulnerable. Okay, that's as much as I can handle. Oh my gosh. I could have stayed longer, maybe, but I don't want to. I'm gonna stay right here for a second. I'm sorry, buddy. I don't want to use my legs yet. Oh man, that's better. Still don't want to use my legs. That's good. That's all it takes. Ooh, I understand. At the end of this split thing or whatever, it may not seem very appealing. Don't do this pose. You don't have to do this pose. This is not basic range of motion. Squats are basic range of motion. This is me trying to relive my past in the 90s when I could do that and get my chest to the ground. And actually, I didn't think it was going to happen, but I got to tell you, it's going to happen. I'm not in any hurry, but another 3-4 years, I'll probably be able to do it. Can I get up right now? Oh. So this is a case where I've stretched the heck out of some muscles, and I don't want to use them to stand up. My hip flexors are right now pretty gnarly. So, oh, okay, good. Now what I'm going to do is a little bit of shaking, and then I'm going to call it. Oh man, my hips are really. They're going to feel good in the morning. Right now, I'm not so certain. All right. Can't see if I can move my. Let's see. All right, I'm going to use that as a sign. Good night.